there's not a plan for anything, dude. You can write it down. You can schedule it out. You can have everything, textbook, definition, Webster, dictionary, ready to go. It's not going your way. There's way too many loopholes in this world. You're not going to know what's going to happen in an hour. What happens if this camera dies? Well, you got another one. You got a backup plan, right? Nothing's ever going to go your way. There's always going to be loopholes. You're always going to go up. You're always going to go down. But you're going to get broken down the hardest to get built back up. That's God's plan for me. That's where I'm at. He broke me the hell down. And I'm on my way to the top, and nothing's stopping me. Nothing.
All right, welcome back to Speak Life. My name is Mark Mead. We're sowing seeds today for tomorrow's harvest. I got a special guest with me today. His name is Braxton Stover, young man out of the Philadelphia area who's been the president of Modern Touch Solutions, his company. And Braxton, you've gone through a couple different morphing at a young age as a business owner, going from being a general contractor, which you currently are. You manage some real estate properties, but now you're getting more into fix and flips. And I think the most intriguing part for me, Braxton, first off, welcome to the podcast and thanks for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is when I talked to you earlier, is your drive. You know, I see fire in your eyes of what you're trying to do, what you're accomplishing, what you're heading towards. And I want to dig into some of that. But before I do, can you just give us a little bit of a backdrop on your story, kind of, you know, how'd you get to where you are right now?
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again for having me. But I guess really it started back with the way I was raised. I mean, simply put like that. Grandfather and grandmother had the opportunity to raise me, and I was blessed to do so. I mean, I got raised in a generation that had already been parented. Right. I mean, my grandparents had already raised a successful family, and I had the opportunity to come up behind them. Wow. So I think right there was a benefit for me. Secondly, they were very much so church-oriented. So, I mean, dedicated to the Lord there every single week, multiple times a week. So that definitely had a big play. And then on top of that, he was in the military. So he had very, very strict guidelines, very strict procedures to do on a day-to-day basis. I mean, he was up at the ass crack of dawn every single day, and I mean that literally relayed into my lifestyle.
Helped shape you.
Definitely.
Interesting. So, would you say that from those principles or from that upbringing that has really helped shape and mold the man you are right now?
100%.
What would you say about that? Getting up early. What did that do for you? Because I mean, there is something for me to getting up early in the morning and you know, punching the day in the face, not letting the day punch you in the face. What is that done for you?
So I don't want it to strike an ego, but it is something about being up, getting things done before people are even awake. You know, like this morning I had the opportunity to go to the gym, had the opportunity to, you know, make a meal, walk the dog, go to the store all before 7 a.m. Right. You know, my guys showed up at 7 a.m. and everything was prepped out for the day. I had the opportunity to leave the state, you know, to come here and do this, and I ain't got to look at my phone. I trust my guys to get the stuff done that they need to get done. I executed everything I needed to execute beforehand, planned it out, and at 4 a.m. in the morning, you just get a different vibe. There's no one else awake, no one else on the road. It's time for you. It's time for you to focus, and it's a mentality. It's
a winning mentality.
Definitely, 100%.
It's a winner's mentality.
100%.
Someone who thinks like that is in growth mode. It's just no matter what, you're in growth mode. So to me, just seeing like the fire just makes me say wherever you're going, you're gonna figure it out. Yeah. So, all right. So you have this upbringing, this rearing, and you decide that somewhere along the lines, tell us when and where you decided that contracting, that using your hands, that, you know, building was what you wanted to do.
I had many opportunities growing up to be on a job site with my father. Even though he wasn't raising me, he would still have parental visits or whatnot.
Sure.
So I'd go every couple weekends to see him, and he was working. I mean, general contractor.
He was a general contractor as well.
Yeah, we work. I mean, we got a house, we got a deadline. You know, you got to meet that deadline. I mean, time is literally money in my industry. So if it's 5 a.m. morning and at 10 p.m. night, you're doing it. Right. So that relayed over into the weekends when I had him. Or when he had me. So starting very young on the job site. But then I guess that leads into college Hunks, the job that I had before I started my business.
Okay.
And was the operations manager at the age of 21. Had 72 employees, and I literally handled everything. I mean, scheduling, trucks, maintenance on the trucks. I mean, tools, equipment.
What was college? What is college Hunks?
So college Hunks was a junk removal and moving business.
Okay.
And obviously they tried to advertise towards college Hunks or whatever you wanted to call it. But I mean, you get in there and they got me. I mean, I thought I got in there and I thought I was a college hunk and I thought I could meet that criteria. And at the time I was in college, but it was an opportunity. I saw it, I grabbed it, and within a month, I went from being in the trainer seat to being a driver of the truck. Within 2 months, within 2 months, I was a manager, and then about 6 months into being at that business, the actual manager quit because he saw this 21-year-old was taking his job. 6 months in, became the operations manager of a $1.3 million business, and literally loved it. I mean, I had the opportunity to get salary. I was like, oh, this is great. This is awesome. Bonus structures, more money. Nah, it ended up not being the case whatsoever.
Got it.
Yeah. So he.
How long did it take you to figure that out?
3 years.
Huh.
Yeah, I ran that business for 3 years.
Okay.
And the successful side of that I will say, I can't say I single-handedly did it because obviously there was 73 other employees.
Sure.
Fluctuated, but I guess that was the biggest head count at one point. But we turned that $1.3 million business when I started in, I guess it was like a January. And when I left in March of 21, it was a $3.3 million business.
Got it.
So I more than doubled their income at that age, learned how to run a business. And the day that I quit, I went in there and I said, hey, you know, these guys out in the trucks are making more money than I am as an operations manager because I set up an incentive for them, a compensation plan.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
They go out, they make more money.
Yep.
For us, we pay them more. Those guys were making more money than I was, so I went to my manager. I went to the owner. I was like, dude, like this isn't gonna work, you know? He's like, all right, well, that's all I got. And I looked at him. I was like, what do you mean that's all you got? He's like, yeah, I've been waiting for this day, Brax. I mean, you're young, you're strong, you can go out and do this. I don't have any more money for you.
Got it.
I was like, all right.
Wow.
Took my shirt off, walked out, packed all my stuff up, tried to move to North Carolina for 5 days. That didn't work out.
5 days.
Tried to work on a business. I'm not kidding, man. I moved down there, tried to start my life over with my brother and start a business with him. But
he lived down there. You were going down there.
Yeah.
To like restart.
I was going to restart, and I was looking to start a business with him.
Okay.
And
whoa. Before we do that, what were those conversations? What kind of business?
So he was a landscaper, but he was trying to dive into trees.
Got it.
So
y'all have been talking about this.
we had been throwing it back and forth, and he noticed how hard I was working at the place, and he was like, "Dude, they're slaving you. You know, they like you're not getting any money. You're working 70 hours a week.
Right.
Come down here, put in half the effort, and let's go make millions."
Huh.
Oh yeah, sounds great.
This is really good, by the way.
Yeah. Well, went down there, and it was a stepbrother, not a brother.
Got it. I made it all the difference. Apparently.
It definitely did. I wasn't raised with him, like I said.
I
so I was raised by my grandparents. He was raised in Virginia, but by someone else completely.
Okay.
Long story short, didn't work out with him, man.
Okay.
I mean, whether we just didn't vibe or no matter, it on different pages completely. Wavelengths were north and south poles.
No doubt.
Packed all my stuff up at 3 a.m., got in a U-Haul, drove back up here.
How were you feeling at that time?
Oh, God. Just
at that time, 3 a.m., driving, U-hauling it.
Pathetic.
Can you, listen, we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, right? Some of them want to get in entrepreneurship. They have no idea what this feeling is like. They have no idea that this is the type of whatever you felt at that moment is what it takes, right? So can you describe what that was like?
So it was probably 3 or 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon when I realized that this wasn't going to work out.
Right.
I called my brother, and he was out making money. And I was like, yo, I need to get in the house. I got a U-Haul. I'm going back to Virginia, or I'm going back to Philly. Like, I just got to go. He's like, nah, that's not going to happen. 24 years old. Like, it is going to happen. Like, I'm going to get my stuff that I own. My dog was in your house. Like, I'm getting in there.
That I own.
I'm not kidding. So he said, no, you're not. Like, if you go cross my boundary. I mean, he's a Southern boy at heart. He had a pallet built around this 3-acre property with wooden pallets, with a metal gate fence, an arsenal of weapons inside. I mean, you don't want to fuck with him. Like, he's a country boy by heart. Long story short with him, he had everything that could intimidate you.
Okay.
And he held it against me.
Okay.
And so I sat in that U-Haul outside on the street for hours waiting for him to get home. I mean, I thought about contacting the sheriff, like, get me out of here, right? Went to a little bar around the corner because I had my brother's location. He was not going to be home anytime soon. So I just had a little dive bar for a couple hours. Had probably 2 drinks, 3 drinks, whatnot. Definitely got me in my feelings. So where was I at? I was at the absolute lowest of low. No money. Just had to ask for, at the time, my ex-girlfriend's money to be able to pay for a U-Haul, to be able to get back home to a place that I thought, whoa, wait a second, what was home? I mean, I thought North Carolina was going to be home. I had no home back up here in Philly. So I was just sitting there, like, literally, it was depressing as hell. Like, what are you going to do with your life? Where are you at? And the thing that came to me is, Grandpa, he would not be proud of you right now. Like, he knows that you're better than this and that you got a plan. God's got a plan for me. So, yeah, 2 a.m., my brother rolls in, drunk as hell, and finally opens up the gate. I go and grab my necessities, left all of my thousands of dollars in furniture down there, everything that I had, loaded up the Jeep that I was driving onto the trailer behind the truck, and got on the road at 3 a.m. and drove straight here. And on the way here, I figured it out. I haven't stopped since.
Wow. And so I talked about that fire. And again, we're just learning of some of this. When you think about that, I figured it out on the way here, and I haven't stopped since, right? There's something to that as well for the entrepreneur who's destined to do it on their own, but they don't always think like, I'm going to figure it out on the fly and not stop. How did you get that mindset?
There's not a plan for anything, dude. You can write it down. You can schedule it out. You can have everything, textbook, definition, Webster, dictionary, ready to go. It's not going your way. There's way too many loopholes in this world. You're not going to know what's going to happen in an hour. What happens if this camera dies? Oh, you got another one. You got a backup plan, right? Nothing's ever going to go your way. There's always going to be loopholes. You're always going to go up. You're always going to go down. But you're going to get broken down the hardest to get built back up. That's God's plan for me. That's where I'm at. He broke me the hell down, and I'm on my way to the top, and nothing's stopping me. Nothing. It's drive, like you said, that fire.
Yeah, that's the fire you need, guys. I don't know. I think the word entrepreneur has been thrown around a lot, and the past 6 to 8 years, people think it's kind of like, I just get to. Hey, let me run this by you, Braxton. Hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I get to control my own hours. We didn't script this. I knew he would laugh just because I'm feeling his energy. But how comical is that?
So I thought 70 hours for salary was great. I'm 100 easy plus a week. I don't pay myself. I do not pay myself. My business makes all of my money. And as an owner, as a president, I get to do what I do.
Right.
But I do not make money. I invest every penny that I make back into my business.
Let's talk about this. Let's rip open the mindset of an early entrepreneur. You've been in business for how long?
It was 5.5 years.
5.5 years. So you obviously have done it all. You have,
Well, don't say all.
well, when I say done it all, I mean like there's a funny kind of phraseology, but you've washed the dishes, you've put the fries in the fry later, you've made the burgers, you served the burgers, you've asked people, do they want, Coke or Sprite? In other words, you work from the way back of the house to where the food gets delivered in, and the bathrooms are being cleaned, to the way front of the house where you have on a suit and tie to make it happen. It's an analogy for we're gritty, okay? So let's rip this open. Let's go into the contracting world, and let's go into, from what you've told me, you've reinvented yourself at least 3 times. And that's just what you've told me. I'm smart enough to know you've had many thoughts of directional ways to go.
Yeah.
So let's rip this thing open, and kind of the not just the mindset, but the actual day-to-day of managing your mindset, your thought process, your goals, working towards deadlines. Like, let's go through it. You've got employees that work for you. Talk to us.
So I guess with a day-to-day routine with that kind of thing, I mean, it's you can do your best. Like I was saying, you can do your best to plan. Nothing's ever going to go your way. People are going to be late. People aren't going to show up sober. It happens all the time, unfortunately. They're going to call out when you need them at the most desperate times, or the most desperate people that you need to have come in to do that precision job, like finishing concrete. I don't have professional finishers on my squad every single day, but I have contacts, communication, relationships that I can call on to finish that kind of job. I mean, in my industry, you got to know everyone. You got to have someone for something. I can do it all. I'm not the best at it all, but can I get it done? Absolutely. Sure. Will I build you a house? 100%. But for the best quality of that house, I'm going to bring in the best people that I know to bring in. And I'm going to oversee it because I know how to do it. But to be able to get that top-notch tier, I guess you can say, the modern touch, I got to have the extra people there, the important people, the specific trades people, So I guess with day-to-day, sure, write it down, put it on your schedule. And I don't know about this whole technology thing. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome. But I'm a very pen and paper kind of guy. Okay. I mean, I took my pen and my knife out of my pocket in the truck before I came in here for video purposes, but I always have my pen and I always have my knife on me. I always got my schedule ready to go. It's very easy to edit for me. I can see it in front of me. I don't got to flip through different applications. Totally. I know for a fact it's there. I've dedicated my life to my schedule. I mean, if you're not running by your schedule, you're running by the fly. If you're not writing things down, you're going to forget them. If you're a business owner, you're going to have 100 conversations a day. And if you don't write that down, you're going to hang up that phone. You're going to get on a phone call 5 seconds later. And you're going to forget all about that first phone call. Yeah. If you don't write it down, if you don't want it, then you're going to forget it. So I guess that's with scheduling and that's with employees. What else on the day-to-day do you want to touch on?
When you think about just the fact that, hey, you said it, it's not always going to go your way, right? And so I say, you laughed when I said I can make my own schedule. You said, look, I was working 70 hours, now I'm working 100. So
easy.
So but there's 2 things about working 100 hours a week, which I know all too well. But one is you're doing it because that's what it takes. So you sort of have to do it. Now you don't have to do it. Let's be fair.
Yeah,
you don't have to do it. Your mindset says you're going to do it. And then number 2, you said you're taking 100% of the money and pouring it back into your business. So that, excuse me, but that is exactly what it takes to win. So when you think about being 5.5 years in business, we talked about reinventing. Like, you don't work 100 hours a week because you're bored and you have nothing else to do.
No,
you're doing it because your mindset says, this is what I'm going. You don't even say this is what I'm going to do. This is what I have to do. It's your mindset that says this is what I have to do. You and I both know we don't have to do it, but you don't give yourself any other options.
Nope.
And so when you go ahead.
There's a word that pops into my mind. It's accountability.
Okay.
I never had accountability growing up.
Okay.
I was never raised by mom and dad. I had to figure out accountability by myself.
Yeah.
Until before Modern Touch, accountability was, I couldn't even answer what that word was.
Wow.
I mean, I would let things go, procrastinate. I mean, that's probably why I dropped out of school. I mean, just I couldn't hold myself accountable for anything. Once I found something to hold myself accountable to, and I met that deadline, it was the most natural high ever, you know?
So, reinventing yourself through these last 5.5 years, it started when you drove to North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
The first day of reinvention, right? And restarting. You obviously have been in positions where things might have been going the way you thought, and then it turns. So you start adding or subtracting or pivoting. What is that? What is that navigation like?
It's on the fly. You're never gonna. So you can do your. Let me think of a work-related aspect for this. So you can plan to go build a wall, right? And you can have all the tools that you have there. You can have your grinder there. You can have your level there. You can have your cement mixer there. You can have everything you need to have there. You can have all your guys there. And then you go out to use the grinder, and your blade breaks on the grinder. All right, cool. Now I can't cut the block. Now I can run my first course, but I can't get the second course in because to get the second course in, I got to have that cut block on top. Well, what are you going to do? All right, well, I always have a backup plan, even if it's not a physical or a mechanical backup plan. It's a rock. I can break a damn rock. It's not rocket science.
Wow.
Go get a chisel, go get a hammer, figure it out. YouTube has been my right-hand man in my business. You think I'm kidding, and you can go back and laugh at some of the work that I've done knowing that I learned it from YouTube. But if I'm in a situation and I can't figure out, which I will, at this point, I will 100% figure it out. I mean, if it comes to a house, I've done so much of it now. I'm cocky enough to be able to say I can get it done without looking anything up. But if I ever came to a situation, there was no calling on mommy, there was no calling on daddy, there was no calling on grandpa or grandma because they wouldn't answer the phone. They didn't even have a damn phone. All right. I figured it out by myself. Always had to. Same thing with my vehicles and stuff. You know, why pay someone to do it when you can figure it out? It's a whole thing. It's the drive of asking for assistance that I think strikes back to my ego. If I ask for assistance, I'm going to be looked down on, or I'm not going to feel as wholehearted about it. So if I run into a problem, I'm going to figure it out myself. Simple as that. I mean, it's you can plan for it, you can have all the extra tools, but at the end of the day, it's all on you. The way that you want to change it, the way that you want to figure it out. If you're there to get something done, you're going to get it done one way or the other.
Right.
You know? So if you run into a situation, figure it out.
100%.
And if you don't, that's an excuse. There's an answer to everything.
And so from general contracting, which has been the mainstay of your business, you also started doing property management. Did you add that as something that was a skill of yours, or something that you saw a niche somewhere in the market and said, why not us?
So there's been 100 different niches with Modern Touch Solutions. It's here. Let me go work for literally Costco. Let me go work with Costco and go build their exterior sheds and go do the stuff that people order online at 5 a.m. that have no idea what they're actually ordering and need someone to go put that together. There's been a million different ways. I mean, I thought about when we were slow one year, I thought about putting some of my guys in cleaning uniforms to go clean stuff. But then I got to the point, and that's where I'm at the point now where it's, why am I continuously looking for work? I've already built what I've built. The guys know what they need to do. Why spend money on advertising? Why stress myself out trying to find work for these guys that I genuinely care about finding work for? I like making money.
Right.
But my team is my family.
Right.
I mean, without my family, I'd be nowhere.
Makes sense.
You know, so if I don't have something on the schedule for them, it hurts that they're losing money. They have families that they got to take care of. They're relying on me to find work for those kids to get fed. They're not my kids, but I have responsibility. I have accountability for that. So if the schedule's not booked, it's hard for me. It hurts me because my guys don't have work. So like I said, with the niches, I've tried cleaning. I've tried the Costco thing. I've tried outdoor lighting. I've tried a bunch of different little things that would pop up that seemed like a great opportunity. But then it struck one day. I was like, well, what is something that needs consistent work? What's something that I can guarantee that my guys can do consistently without me having to search every single day for it? What do I live in? An apartment. Where do all my other friends live? In apartments. Where are they going to move out of? An apartment. Where are they moving into right now because the economy sucks so bad? An apartment.
Right.
Those people are owned, or those places are owned by someone that has to turn them over. They have to renovate them once someone moves out. We all paid security deposits. I'm coming to take your security deposit. I mean, literally, I found the niche, and for me, that's consistent work. Find investors, find people that have the properties out there that consistently need the work, lock in contracts, and I'm busy for the next 50 years.
Right.
I mean, my contracts don't have an end date on it. You know, as soon as they sell the property, I might lose the contract then. But other than that, I don't have to stress as much anymore.
Right.
You know, and that was a niche that really took off. And I'm keeping those 88 contracts that I currently have.
Right.
I'm settling on a house literally tomorrow. And I'm going to be flipping a property for me. It's time for me. But I still have 88 contracts I got to keep going.
Sure.
So what's the time to? Bring on more people. Find more guys that I can trust to handle those contracts. And where are we at? We got them.
Wow.
So it's one thing at a time, I guess.
One thing at a time.
Yeah.
But evolution and finding a way. That's what you're saying right now. I found a way. And I think that business continues to evolve, right? It continues to evolve.
Changes.
As you found a way here, you're finding another way. Now you're like, all right, cool. I steadied out my business, which is amazing. Congratulations, by the way. I think that's that's a very satisfying place for an entrepreneur, is this steadying up, because it's frantic. You just gave us examples of how kind of frantic it was, or frantic it's been, and then you found a way, and now you've gotten yourself to some place of stability.
I ain't comfortable with that.
Totally. I'm not insinuating that whatsoever. And nor would I expect that from you. But because you're able to stabilize the business, it allows the brain to keep turning and keep having new ideas. The new idea is, I want to fix and flip for me, right? So no, you're not comfortable with that, but it gives your guys steady work, allows you to bring on more guys, and allows you to think and dream and be the visionary. And so that's what you're doing. And so, a lot of things you said, I want to kind of go back a little bit, and I want to talk about your childhood and how you were raised by your grandparents, and like what it was like to be raised kind of a generation up. You said your mom and dad weren't around. Like, what did that do for you? How did that impact you? Like, because it doesn't seem easy, right? For you to be raised without your parents and then be raised by your grandparents and then kind of feel like you want to do more for them.
Right. So definitely not. Easy was not the word. I was a ginger, like straight up textbook definition ginger, as white as you can get. Burned.
I don't think I've ever heard that term before, but I'm listening.
Really?
I'm learning.
Pale as all can get
always
out.
learn.
I look like a ghost. Orange hair, freckles from head to toe. Ginger. That's what it was called. Got picked on a lot. You know, I thought I was good at basketball. I wasn't. I got picked on a lot. On top of being picked on for my looks, where's mommy? Where's daddy? Why aren't you with mommy? Why didn't dad drop you off at basketball practice? Why is it an old man that's got to take his time to get a cane out? Well, that old man's helping me, but at the time, no one really understood that.
Right,
You know, we were kids. So bullied a lot was definitely the word, and it sucked. But I created a core group of friends that would understand. You know, I didn't have mom, I didn't have dad, and ironically enough, those core group of friends were the same people that I ended up going to church with and futuring my life. But
Praise God.
yeah, absolutely. It was different growing up with grandparents. Not only slow and in the right lane, 5 miles an hour under the speed limit every single time we were in the car, but it was. I didn't have a cell phone until I was 13. Everyone had an Xbox. Everyone had TVs in their room. Things that you would say is normal nowadays, but was literally a luxury for me. You know, they always told me they weren't going to buy me a car. I got to do this. You got to go to college. I mean, everything that a parent should do. You know, to build up a young child. But I didn't appreciate what they did for me until I started Modern Touch. Until I realized that I don't know how else to describe it besides being blessed. Like, they have already raised a family that has been successful. Even though I didn't end up with my mom and my dad, it's for the better. And my mother, or my father, my aunt, and my uncle, the kids of my grandparents that raised me, very, very successful people, all millionaires. So they knew how to raise them, okay? I came up behind them, and I was a very, very rebellious child, don't get me wrong. And it got to a point when I turned 14 that I was too rebellious after we lost my grandfather, that my grandma shipped me up here to Valley Forge. But it was a different experience being raised by them simply due to the fact that it was unappreciated and frowned upon.
Wow.
So I'll take it, and I would not have it any other way.
Right.
But it's what made me the man I am today.
When did you learn that, man? I mean, you say I started Modern Touch, and I started to appreciate it. But there was obviously the ridiculing from friends, the very nature of not having a mom and dad, which is like you're covering up for something you may not fully understand. But you just said I wouldn't have it any other way. So there's a lot that took place from resentment and this sucks and why me to I'm appreciative.
It's going to break you down to build you up, man. I mean, literally, I didn't know it at the time, but it blessed me to be the man I am that I am. You know, I went to school every day, nice clothes, smile on my face. If you didn't know me, you didn't know my name, you would have no idea. But if you knew me, then yeah, you knew that I lived with my grandparents, that I wasn't in a normal situation. Well, I took that and kind of flipped it around when I had the opportunity to realize it. So it's definitely a blessing to be raised by them.
It's huge, man.
Yeah.
It's huge. You know, when I start stitching the story together, I see where the fire, the drive comes from, and why it's important to you. I understand in different ways. I understand your story very well, so I respect that.
Thank you.
You know, and when you think of Modern Touch, kind of where you're taking this thing now, what's next?
Me. It's time to take the millions of dollars I've literally seen slip out of my fingers, put it into my account, and then help other people. I know I can do it, and I'm not at the point now where I'm going to do it, but down the road, I want to figure out a way to get my own social media crew to be able to film me, to be able to show other people how to make money. I mean, I'm not a millionaire yet, but give me a couple years,
Right.
and I will be. I know that for a fact. I want to show others that it's easy, and you can enjoy doing it. You know, like I told you earlier, I don't go to work anymore. I wake up, I make people smile. That's what I do. I put money in my bank account just because it happens at the end of the day.
Right.
Without that drive, I guess I'd still be sitting on the side of the road getting fired at my pizza shop, you know?
Well, you're good, man. You're talking about the drive you have and how you got there and, you know, why that fire burns bright, you know? So I appreciate it, man. At the end of the day, when I look at, first off, I believe everything you said. Like, I know for a fact you're going places. And so when I see that, it's exciting because not everybody has the mentality of, I don't give a rip what happened in my life. I'm not only going to drive this thing, I'm going to drag this thing off the cliff, right? And that's that's your aura. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going after this thing, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to figure it out no matter what. So I commend you for that. The one thing I would ask you is like, when you say you want to help people, you know, this is the Speak Life podcast. We're sowing seeds today. You're sowing seeds, right? You got employees, you got people that you look after, you call them your family. You're helping their families. You're doing more for people. You have clients that count on you to do a job, the stellar job, bring what you said you would bring. And then you also talked about being on time deadlines. And, you know, as soon as you get a job, you're on the clock, right? And so when you believe for the harvest, when you believe for what's coming, right? What are you believing for?
What am I believing for? I'm believing in myself, but I'm believing very vaguely, I'm at the end of the day, a better world, an easier world, people to be happy, people. So I guess what I was saying with the whole social media what I want to do in the future is just show people that, it's not, life isn't about being a millionaire. Life's not about living down in Florida or living in New York City with a yacht docked outside and millions of dollars in your bank account.
Right.
Some of those people that have that kind of money, inheriting that kind of money, are the most unhappy people in the world.
Correct.
It's really about the journey to get there.
Amen.
You're not going to better yourself unless you go through those down days, those bad breakups, those people that aren't going to be there when you need them to be there the most. You know, without going through that, you're not going to succeed. You're not going to better yourself. So I want to show people out there, and that is what my plan is eventually, that you can start like I started, with YouTube, with being in a U-Haul at 3 a.m. with literally nothing in the truck, to pushing close to $500,000 this year. It's about drive. It's about mentality, and everyone can do it. Okay. I'm not special. By no means am I special. And I want to show everyone that they can do it, and that it makes a good damn lifestyle.
Right.
Enjoying what you do, waking up every day, and being a better person, being that better man every single day is enjoyable. Once you figure it out, you've won. That's that. That's that.
I love it, man. I mean, I love it. So much of that I register with. We do a lot of exactly what you're talking about. We do a lot of that in the insurance world with agents that we work with, and seeing them come from. Listen. If you have the right mentality, if you have the right drive, if you have the right dog in you, you're gonna win. You're gonna win. I used to say, hey, the vehicle that I'm in is the problem, right? When I found the right vehicle, I started driving. And a lot of the stuff that I was putting in multiple places, in different seasons of my life that didn't yield me as much, I was working a lot of hours. I was figuring things out. I was moving things around.
Let me ask you something.
Yep.
Were you swamping yourself with that because you didn't want to deal with it, or why? Why were you working so much?
I was starving. I came from nothing. I wanted to win. I got, 5 brothers, 2 sisters. I was starving.
Cool.
So I just wanted to try to find a way. No different than what you're saying. I wanted to find a way. More bad, as my man E.T. says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And I just wanted success. So for me, work ethic was the easy part. Figuring out what to put the work into, that was not easy. So like you, a lot of reinventing and going through stuff. But listen, man, I appreciate you. Appreciate your story. I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate where you're going. And I appreciate us being able to unpack an entrepreneur's journey here on the Speak Life podcast. Braxton Stover, Thank you for joining us, my man. You
Absolutely.
crushed it. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for sharing with us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me out.
God bless you guys. Thanks for listening. Talk soon.